I was eating the evening meal with several friends after my return from Mirth, or Terra, as it was often called. The humans were still somewhat new to the galactic stage, but were quickly making a name for themselves as one of the few species that started as a predator, but didn't seem to desire war with everyone, or really anyone for that matter. They freely admitted to the horrors they inflicted upon each other in the past, but probably proclaimed they had grown beyond that. "So, what do humans eat?" my friend Khazar asked. "It would be easy to tell you what they don't eat," I answered. "I've seen them eat plants and animals they knew were toxic. Some love to eat plants that cause burning sensations, some smoked plants that cause cell mutations, and most drink substances that harm their brains. But generally they'll eat any plant or animal, though individual preference vary wildly." "So, they evolved as predators, but they eat plants, even toxic ones?" Khazar's life mate, Lizar, asked. "Not exactly. They're quite the omnivore. I studied their evolution, and they've been a herbivore, a scavenger, and it was later that they started hunting. But yes, they love toxic plants, some for their burning sensations, some as stimulants, and some for a type of cooling sensation. While on Terra, I was invited to what humans call a barbecue, a most interesting gathering. After studying their evolution, I can see how the barbecue is a ritual that has endured. It's not too alien from many of our group ingestion rituals," I explained. This elicited some strange looks from around the table, but soon everyone's eyes had the same message. "Explain this." "Consider us now. We gathered here at this place that happens to be my favourite nutrient ingestion place to celebrate my return from Terra. Humans tend to gather and celebrate many or any occasion by consuming nutrients together. The barbecue was held in my honour since I was departing soon. But looking back at human history when they started hunting, they didn't have speed or strength on their side. They had two things that don't seem that great. They can dissipate heat faster than any other species on their planet, actually more than any other known lifeform today, so they would often chase down their prey until its muscles gave out. They could do this for over half of their day, longer as they often worked in teams. Then they could carry it back to where they're dwelling. That alone gave them some initial success. What really gave them their next edge is their ability to throw things accurately," I stated. "What did they throw? Rocks?" asked Taneth, my supervisor that suggested I take this assignment. "Initially, yes, but soon they learned how to use rocks to sharpen or make spears, which they would throw. This allowed them to run less. So the basis of humanity's ascent was running and throwing. Next they would drag their kill back so their family group could eat it. Later on they harnessed fire, which made this easier and safer." The table was quiet for a minute as they contemplated this. "Us Nassarians evolved by hiding from our world's predators. Eventually we learned to make tools and fortifications to keep them at bay, but we never really engaged them. Agriculture was our first major breakthrough, as was most other species in known space. Most predatory species learned to hunt and never gave it up, which is why most of them were behind a heavily enforced quarantine. But not humans. We were ready at first, having met ambush predators in our past as well as current galactic past, but they seemed honest in their desire to join the greater community. They were quickly integrating themselves as merchants, soldiers, engineers, and really every other role you can imagine. I had to admit, it was odd during the standby period of my transit home to see humans offering themselves as pleasure companions." "Well, I'm glad they've given up hunting and predation," Khazar stated. I paused, considering my next statement. "I don't think they fully have. I think it's genetic for them. Take this barbecue. The food available was of a very wide variety. Like us, many humans enjoy salads, and they had a few of them available. The lettuce type was certainly my favourite, but they also had one with potatoes, which are these amazing roots, I think. Also several other salads, including something they called macaroni. But the main dish that the humans were there for was a wild animal. My host had recently terminated what he called a wild boar that was considered to be an invasive animal to his area. So he invited his family group, people that lived in close proximity to him, his co-workers and myself. I was what he called the guest of honour. A lot of these people also brought their offspring." "Ah, so the adults still hunt. Did he chase down this wild boar?" asked Taneth. "No, he used a very primitive slug thrower. I asked if his people still chase down prey, and he said in some areas they do. But he had accumulated too much age and mass to do so. He preferred to hide in a tree with his slug thrower. But what really convinced me that humans are still predators are their offspring. You see, they quickly organised a number of games, and a lot of them didn't have familiarity with each other. The younger ones had the most simple games. They would chase each other. When one was caught, they would simply start chasing another. Also, they had games that involved throwing things. They tended to prefer throwing spears or oblique spheroids, but great emphasis was placed on accuracy in throwing and catching. When I asked my host about this, he said something about being joyful that the offspring were doing something to exert themselves, rather than using electronic devices. When I asked further about the rules of these games, he seemed confused. He said with tag, one does not desire to be it, and can only remove this condition by being fast enough to contact someone and proclaim that they are now it. He didn't claim to know what the rules of every throwing game was, but he was quite proud of the older offspring running what he called passes. Wait, so their offspring instinctively hunt each other? It seems if they're playing tag, the best strategy would be to hide, Gazar stated. I realised that this would take a lot of time to explain, though I was pleased in more social meetings than would be needed to do this. Their offspring have a game for that. They call it hide and go seek. When I asked about how they transition to it from tag, again my host said tag tends to turn into it when the first person tries to hide. So you see, they become such successful predators because their earliest recreation is a form of wargaming, the predator-prey relationship. Again, the table was silent. I also noticed that some tables near us had ceased their conversations. I think we should keep them off our planet, a patron of another table said. This was met with murmurs of approval. While I was no great expert of humanity or terror, I did feel a need to defend my friends, so I stood to address those near me. Humanity can seem terrifying, but the history both ancient and modern is filled with countless examples of them risking everything and even terminating themselves to save not only each other but other animals on their world. I would tremble in fear of having them as an enemy, but when I was there I slept better knowing them as friends. I was met with approval, but I felt humanity would be best if they were slowly introduced to my world. Many of them expressed a desire to visit, even though it is very tame compared to terror. My thoughts were interrupted as our meal was presented to us. Conversation at our table quickly went back to humans. My friends were speculating at how they survived, let alone thrived in a world filled with other predators. I felt it would be best to save the history of how they turned one of their greatest rival predators into what they called their best friend.